Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy, and we are here with author Rin Sher. Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. We're excited to have you.
It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right.
So we're going to jump right in with some questions. But before that, if you guys want an angsty book or want to cry, grab these books. So good. This series. I love it.
I was
All right.
actually looking for them this morning and I'm like, oh, I must have sold out of them. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that's a good problem to have, to be sold out.
Yeah. My first one was, what was it? See You Again. Is that what it's called? I liked that one a lot.
that was one of my first. So when I knew that you read it, I was like, oh.
No, I like it, but I like the whole pregnancy, and I really liked it. It was, I just really liked it. So
I'm glad.
that's okay that it was one of your first. It worked for me.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So what type of books do you write and what kind of tropes do you like to write?
I like to put my spin on everything. So even though it may be like a popular trope or something, then I'll always make it a little bit different. I like them to be deep and angsty and emotional. I want you to feel things when you read my stuff. Um, I did go off on a little side thing for The Woman, that book that I wrote. It's dystopian, it's different. Again, it has that unique part to it, but in general, it's the heartfelt, um, emotional ones. But I will never stick to a specific trope or a specific I only write small town. I like to write everywhere, all over the place.
Yeah. So wait, tell me about the dystopian one.
So it's called The Woman, and it's a different society.
Yeah.
So women are treated just as companions. They don't have thoughts, they don't have jobs, like they don't do anything but just basically be a companion to a man. And the defects are women who are like us, who actually have thoughts and have opinions and stuff, but they're treated as, oh, there's something wrong with her, we need to get rid of her, kind of thing. And the hero, grumpy billionaire, he picks, and they pick their women as well, like at a certain age, and he ends up picking a defect. He didn't even want to have this companion, this woman in his life. But then as, things come out that she's not quite normal in their society, he realizes, oh, I like that actually. So
okay. That sounds right up my alley. I'll be downloading that one. So
yeah, quite different from my others, but
yeah, I like dystopia. I like post-apocalyptic and I like dystopian. So
yeah, it's really hard to categorize that one because it's not quite dystopian, but it is not quite just because it is that different society. It's
yeah. Oh, that sounds good to me. Okay.
Okay. Do you have a favorite book you've written or a favorite character?
I think Wronged will always hold number one place there, and Jacob, because writing him, I just felt so terrible for him the whole time, but I was still like, how much more can I put him through?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, I just want to hug him. But yeah, he's definitely, I think he'll always hold like that special spot there. But yeah, that was just one of those stories that just kind of came to me and I just had to get it out. Yeah, I would say that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So where would you recommend someone start who is new to your books?
I always, like when I'm at signings, I always ask, okay, what do you like to read? Okay, do you like the emotional angsty type? And if that's what they like, then I'll say start with Wronged, and then they can continue on in the series. If they're into the more sci-fi dystopian, then I'll definitely say okay, the woman then.
Mhm.
But those are usually the two that I say. Yeah.
Okay.
Until
Okay.
I have the rest of the stories that I'm working on out, and then it may change.
Right.
Ooh. Well, that leads us right to the next question. Can you share what you're currently working on or any upcoming projects?
So I have about 5 that are partially written.
Oh, wow.
So the next book in the Broken Souls series I've written part of. Um, so that is Shamed.
Okay.
And then also I'm working on a duet. And that is also completely different to the other stuff. There's a little bit of organized crime in it, a little bit of suspense. Um, it's definitely different, but I'm actually loving it. So yeah, I'm excited about that one too.
That sounds good too.
Yeah.
It's got some of my tropes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so do you have an idea of when you expect those to come out?
So I'm hoping to I have a signing in Charleston in March, and so
Okay.
I'm hoping to have at least book 1 of the duet available for that, and then hopefully the next month the part 2. So
Okay.
Shamed is just I'm working on it here and there as I go along, so we'll see.
Yeah.
That one's like a very emotional, very draining book, so I can't just like focus on it right now. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, that's understandable for sure.
Yeah.
Probably takes a lot out of you when you write an emotional book like that.
definitely does. And this is probably worse than the other 3. So just a warning for you.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only read the first one at this point. Like, think it worse?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
The series is quite fascinating to see, like, because in Wronged, you have just Jacob basically and how everything impacted him. And then the next 2 books really talk about like how much everything changed because of this.
Mhm.
And Neil kind of reflects on that a lot in his book, like, what if that wouldn't have happened?
Yeah.
So I can't even. Okay, so this was my question I wanted to ask. Is the next book going to be Mace's book then? Or is that a secret?
It will be, what I will tell you is Jennifer's book from Wrong.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So her
oh.
story of that night and then her life onwards. So that's what
My
I'm
mouth literally open.
That's
because
okay.
everyone hates her and is like, why would she do that? And all along I've known like what happened, but nobody else did. So I'm like,
Right.
gotta tell that story. So that is what is next.
Okay.
I think that's awesome.
No, I won't say anything I'm thinking because I have some ideas of some things that I've thought have possibly have happened, but I won't say that because I don't want to like, give anything away for anybody who hasn't read the other 3 books. But now I'm like, don't be surprised if I'm emailing you in a few weeks. Any updates on when that book's coming out? No,
You've
I
opened
won't really
yourself.
harass you.
Yeah, so you've opened
No.
yourself up for harassment now.
That's
So
totally
No,
fine.
I
I've
won't.
had a
But
few
now,
people message me their theories and stuff, like specifically about Mace as well. And I'm just like, what can I say?
Mhm.
Nothing.
Mhm. Mhm. Is it hard for you to keep those secrets? I have such a hard time doing it. For sure.
No, because I do have like a really close group of author friends that know this stuff as well, and I talk to them about it. So that kind of gets it out of me, and I don't have to talk about it to anybody else. And it's, not this, oh, I got to tell somebody about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
there's something going on within my business where I have to keep things quiet. And I tell my husband and he doesn't get it at all. He's like, that's cool. And I tell Mandy, thank God I got Mandy. But yeah. I'm bad. Like I just want everybody, when I'm excited about something, I want everybody to know. Like everybody. So
oh man, now
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this next book.
I bet.
Okay.
I'll try
Okay.
to write it quick. I'll try to write.
Please don't.
But we also want your mental health to be okay as well. So
Yeah. Well, that's
you
why
do
I
what you gotta
alternate
do.
between the different books, because I'm just like, oh, I cannot handle this today. I'll just move on to this one.
Yes. We don't like, I don't know if you saw, you mentioned Pam Godwin before we started. Did you see what when after she got done writing her trilogy, she was talking about how her health, like her physical health, had taken a toll because of all of the mental stuff she'd put herself through writing that book. So let's take a lesson from her and not do that.
Yeah, I was actually with her a few weeks ago. We did a writer's
that's right.
retreat at Jennifer Hartman's house, and she was there, and there was an awesome group of women there. It was just so good. So
Yeah. I forgot you did that. I remember
I
seeing
saw some pictures of that. That's an event I would have liked to have been able to like be there. That's like a lot of awesome women together.
Yeah.
it was, and just so inspiring, and just it was so needed. I think everybody just had a really good time, and was just a refresher, and bouncing ideas, and yeah, it was so good.
That would have been awesome. Like I would have been cool with just carrying everybody's bags inside. So next time, Mandy and I
Just
can
a
cook.
fly on the wall or something.
Gotta listen, just gotta know what's going on here. Even just to do like a big group interview, that would have been fun too. I don't know how you made that happen, but that would have been fun.
I bet there were a lot of good secrets there for books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So how did you become a romance writer?
So I read all the time as a kid. I was a reader, and then as a teenager, I read like the Sweet Valley High books and Babysitter's Club, those type of ones. And then I didn't read for quite a while. And I used to get these ads on my Facebook, and I'm like, this is so annoying. What is this? And then I finally clicked on one, and it was a pay per chapter one. But I got into it, and I'm like, what is this? And it ended up being, a romance book. And I think it was, who was it? Blurred Lines, the name has gone, but yeah, Blurred Lines. That was the first romance that I got back into. And then I was like looking up ways to read online again. And then I got into Kindle, and then I just started reading. And then a lot of the books I was reading, I kept thinking, how would I make this end? Like if I wasn't happy with the ending, I would think up the ending, and or just like different ways the story could have gone. And so I was like, maybe I should just write something. And so then I did. And I just slowly wrote it in my like spare time. Wasn't anything great, but I published it, and then I just kind of went from there and got into the author world, got into the reader's world, and then took my first two books down to redo because I learned so much. But it just kind of went from there, and then I realized, hey, I love doing this, and so I just kept writing. So that was like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago that I started the writing journey. So but didn't actually get properly into it until the last few years.
So that must have been like earlier on when those reading apps were just starting to be a thing.
I think that's why I kept getting like the ads, because it was like, this is brand new, read this.
Yeah. Those things, they suck you in, and there's so many like reading groups that I'm in, and you see that where people are like, I know this has to be a book.
Yeah.
What is this? 9 times out of 10 in one of the reading groups I'm in, it turns out to be a BJ Alpha book for whatever reason. Her stuff gets stolen all the time and used on those, and she's like, yeah, no, that's one of mine. So it's very interesting.
Yeah.
No,
the book I read definitely was like a full length novel, and so I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. So then you talked about what books you're writing, but do you have any plans for any audio for your books?
I do. Wronged is coming out in audio at the beginning of January.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yeah, and I haven't been told that I can't say it, so I'll just tell you who is. Shiloh James and Robert Hatchett, or Rob Brinkman, whichever. Yeah.
Have you listened to anything by him, Mandy? I think I have Shiloh James. I don't know about him.
the names are not ringing a bell, but that does not mean that I
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah.
They've both done a lot of really good authors books. So I'm really excited and just can't wait for it.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
exciting.
rest will be a few months after that too.
Okay.
So
I'm just gonna wait for audio for the rest of this series.
yeah, okay.
I mean, I've read the first book, but I'm gonna wait for audio. Well, Mandy's gotten into it recently, but really, really into it recently. But I love, I love audio.
I do too.
Mhm.
I never used to because I was like, I would get distracted or skip over
Yeah.
things. But I think the quality of audio has really jumped up a notch in the last
time.
like year or two. And it's, yeah,
Mhm.
so I've
Yeah.
gotten into it more. And, like while I'm driving or cleaning or doing
Yes.
other
Yeah.
regular things, I'm like, I could be listening to a book right now.
Mhm.
So I do.
Yeah, that's what I do
Yeah.
too. That's what Mandy does too.
Yeah.
Cleaning or household chores in general, or as long as the kids aren't in the car, there's a book
I
going.
put headphones on if they are.
Well, I can't in the car if I'm driving. I feel like I can't hear, like if an ambulance comes up behind me or whatever. But in the house, I always have headphones on. And I have like the over the ear headphones. So I look, kind of dorky walking around the house, but they could have a house full of their friends. And I'm like, yeah, I've got my book going. You guys good? Okay. Book
Yeah.
time. So yeah.
Yeah, if I've got
Yeah.
a really good book going on and it's in audio, then I'll alternate because I'm like, I just don't want to stop reading this. And so,
Yes, yeah. Well, there's been times where the kids they've learned now, and they're all teenagers, but they've learned now that if I'm cooking or I'm doing something in the kitchen and I have my back to them and my headphones on, they have to come up and pause my Kindle in order to get my attention.
mhm.
Which then just makes me mad. Like, what you pause the book for? It was a good part. So
And then it's probably trivial stuff. What's for dinner?
Yeah.
yes, as I'm cooking dinner. Mhm. Yeah, it's typically
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm
So, how do you come up with your ideas?
My mind is constantly going. I will watch a commercial and a story will come to me. I'll be listening to a song and a story will come to me. Like watching a movie and then in my mind just starts trailing off. But I don't know. My mind is just like it's just constantly going and thinking of different things. And so that's why I always have like several on the go that I'm like, okay, I got to quickly write part of this down. Um, or just like 20 stories sitting in my head, rolling around, waiting to be written. Um, they just, I don't know. It's not even like I try. It's just, oh, that'd be a good story. And then it just starts going.
Yeah. I would love to say that my brain works that way, but it doesn't. Like I get a scene in my head of things and then it just stops. And then I repeat that scene 3,000 times. So yeah, that's not a trait that I possess. It'd be nice, but no.
And sometimes it's like 1 a.m. and then I've got to quickly type some stuff out in my notes as well because my brain likes to wake up at that time of night too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you just put it in your phone, or do you keep like a notepad next to the bed?
I just have notes in my phone and then I'll just jot down some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always
That's
curious
actually,
about that.
what's that?
So I'm always curious about that. You hear a lot of authors say that, and that things come to them in the middle of the night. I'm like, okay, so do we just have like lots of notepads next? I have a notepad. Like I keep a spiral notebook there next to the bed, a small one. When most of the times when Mandy and I are getting ready to go on a trip, and I'm like, oh crap, I can't forget this or I can't forget that tomorrow morning. Not cool stuff like you, but you hear a lot of authors say that. I'm always curious. Is it a notepad or are you pulling out your phone and
Yeah. In the middle of the night, it's my phone, the notes app, but during the day, I am a pencil and paper person, so I will write it out like that.
Yeah.
But that's actually what happened with Jennifer's story, because I actually had planned on just writing Wronged and leaving it at that. And then like about 3 weeks after I wrote Wronged, I was just laying there at 1 a.m. and Jennifer's story, like I knew what happened, but her actual story came to me and I'm like, oh, that's right. Okay. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to write Jennifer's story too. And then a couple of my beta readers were like, I actually think you need to tell the other people's story too, like in the friends group, because
Mhm.
I'm curious what happened with them and why didn't they see him and, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. And she was like, and I think you should make those stories first and then go to Jennifer's. So, yeah.
Yeah. So now you have a series.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. So
It's taking on a life of its own.
Thank you.
Love it when that happens, though.
yeah. That 1 a.m. thought to do Jennifer's really paid off for us readers.
Oh, thank you. It's that or when I'm in the shower or doing dishes. Those are
the
it's like
shower.
water. Yeah.
Yeah, the shower is where all the good thoughts come. And the minute I turn the water off, they're gone. So
I'm stuck in a scene. It's like, okay, I've either got to do dishes or I got to get in the shower. What am I going to do?
Well, I'll be taking my 3rd shower today.
Yeah, exactly.
Just dirty up some dishes on purpose so that I can clean them.
Yeah.
So what do you like to do in your free time besides the dishes?
And taking showers.
Free time? I don't really get a lot of that.
Yeah.
I had 2 other secular jobs as well. One of them I've just has ended like in the last 2 weeks, but I still do some like bookkeeping work, like accounting and whatnot, just here and there. But otherwise, I am always either writing or reading or cleaning or doing the book work. So it's yeah. Or because I'm from Australia, a lot of my family is awake at different times, and so I'll be chatting with them or FaceTiming with them, and yeah. So pretty much my life is pretty boring. I mean, besides going on writers' retreats to Jennifer's.
Yeah, that is not boring at all.
And signings.
Do you just get to call them up, like call Jennifer Hartman up, be like, "Hey, girl, how you doing? I'm stuck in a scene." I mean, that would be awesome.
There are definitely a lot of group chats between a lot of us. So.
Yeah, see, that's not boring. I would like to get my hands on that group chat. Like, what are they talking about now?
Yeah, it'll be like me and those 2 people, me and the 5 of us, me and this person. It's just, an assortment depending on what's needed at what time. So
I love that. I love knowing that our favorite authors all, they're friends and they talk and work things out together. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So the next question is actually, who are some of your favorite authors or favorite books?
Actually, it's funny. It's not often that you can have one of your favorite authors be your friend. So Jennifer Hartman was a favorite of mine. As soon as I read Still Beating, I was like, damn. And so I had reached out to her, and then it kind of just went from there. And like, I love Pam Godwin's stuff too. She's one of my favorites. I do not have a single favorite of anything, like music or books or anything like that. I can never pick a single favorite. But there's always several. I do love Mia Sheridan as well.
Yeah.
Carrie and Cole, like I love a lot of those. And then my good friends like Swati and Stephanie, like I love their stuff. So
Mandy has the same problem with choosing a favorite. We have to do our top.
I've never been able to do it. It's like my brain short circuits and I'm like, too many.
Every month when we try to do our top 5, poor Mandy, she has such a hard time. And now that we're talking about our top 24 of 24 coming up and then our top 20 of all time, like our viewers
oh my goodness,
that video.
I would find that hard as well.
It's horrible.
I'm gonna be getting a lot of phone calls. So, and they go something like this: Jessica, I don't want to do it. I hate this. I am not doing it. And then I'm, Mandy, you gotta do it. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick all the books this time.
You can't pick all the books.
The books are my favorite.
The video would be very long if we go through all the books you've read. So,
and my next number one is,
yeah,
and then my
exactly.
other number one.
Mm-hmm. It gets harder too as we make more friends in the author world too, because you don't want to be like, you want to include them. You love, like, it starts out loving their books, and then you get to know them, and you're like, I just love them so much, and you want to include them all, but that is a small list, and we just can't include all of them.
Yeah.
So
I think for the most part, authors get that as well. Like they know that not every book of theirs is going to be everyone's favorite. So, yeah.
Still, it's hard.
A little trick though that sometimes I do. So like these 3 books,
that's all
could
one.
be one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is
My
that
little trick?
That's sort of like girl math where
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You pre-order it now and pay for it later, like it's like you didn't really, or
Mm-hmm.
the other way around.
Yeah. I was looking at last year's top 20, already anticipating that we're going to have to do it this year. And I think I had like 3 Cora Riley books on that list. And I was like, why didn't I just group them together? Like that whole world should have been a book. Like, you know, taking lessons from Mandy now.
You gotta learn there.
Well, now you know you can do that. Yeah.
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 How this works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do that now too.
Yes, you have to. It just, especially when you read like we do, like we are always like, there's constantly a book going. It's like a book a day, right? So that's a lot of books.
It is. And then sometimes you forget about them and someone reminds you and you're like, that's right. And I loved that book. That was awesome.
Or when people ask me, I had somebody ask me the other day, oh, do you have any good age gap or daddy recs? And I was like, no, I can't think of anything. So luckily we have our videos where I'm like, here, go watch these videos. But it was one of those moments of, well, yeah, if you ask me, you know, later I can come up with them, but being put on the spot is really hard.
Yeah.
So
I always envy those people that write everything down or have this journal or have the tropes or the categories and they list it and what they rated. I'm like, wow, that is so cool.
mm-hmm.
Something I would be like dedicated enough to do something like that.
We designed our own.
Oh.
I don't know if we showed you that. We designed our own where they're like,
yeah,
that is awesome.
I mean, look at all the tabs. So
yeah, you like
to.
You tab a lot. I have to still fill in. Oops, where I can't see.
I love that. I'm like, I wish I could do
I'm
something.
getting
like
ready.
That.
Yeah,
but
I feel
like down
because we do our 1-minute book recs every week. We have to know what we read, and then we'll, you know, with trope videos that, you know, we put out at least 1 or 2 a week, typically 2. We have to be able to go back and find the books that under those tropes, and so the tropes are listed in there, which we have a trope journal as well. But yeah, we wanted to make it easier for us, and then our viewers are like, yes, thank you. So
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes,
of course.
How did you get into the whole interviewing and the book blogging and whatnot?
Mandy?
Well, Jessica had been reading since like 2020, right?
Yeah, it was right about the time that I knew I have to go.
And then I started reading. I have always been a reader, but like I have well, my kids were younger at the time, and so, you know, life happened and I hadn't really read much. And then I got into reading again, and Jessica and I were talking books, and she's like, read this. And so we spent like a good year doing that, where we were just like reading all these books, and we were sending each other voice memos on the books we read. And I was like, Jessica, we should really do something with this. Like, why are we just telling each other about these great books? And so we just decided to try doing our channel. And it was slow going at first, but we started it, and then we went to some book events and met some authors, and then we're like, would you want to do like an interview? And we were shocked that authors were saying yes, so that just kind of went from there.
And for us too, we also found that we read a lot of, I mean, most of the book bloggers read indie authors, but we read a lot of them that aren't widely popular or well known, and we weren't seeing the books that we were loving from other booktube people. And so we were like, we obviously have something here. There's more out there than just the mainstream read, you know, that you see over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And so that was our thing. We were like, we want to bring attention to authors you don't hear about all the time.
I love that.
Yeah. And Mandy brought up the idea of doing this a few different times. And I was the one dragging my feet. I was like, how are we going to do that? It's just something else. It's something more. I just want to read. But then it became a thing. So here we are almost 2 years later, because our 2-year anniversary is at the end of December.
I love that you guys do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Plus, you know,
it's a lot of fun.
It is. And you wouldn't think that we could get closer after 27 years, but apparently we can, because it's only benefited us. So, you know.
That's funny is because my sister-in-law and I, we both were reading romance books, and neither of us knew the other were reading it. And then she had come over to visit, and I don't know if she saw what I was reading or I saw what she was reading, and I was like, hey. And then it got closer, because then we started talking about that, and then it's it's funny.
Well,
how
I feel like
together.
A lot of the times there's this stigma around reading romance, where people think that you're reading straight up smut, and that is all that you're reading. Like you're reading whatever they call it, you know, erotica and whatever. And people don't realize that, no, that's not what this is. Like you get the same thing in other types of genres as well. This is just the relationship is the focus. But these books have so much more to them. And so I think when you're out there in the real world, people don't tell you that they're reading romance because of that stigma. But the good thing is the last few years, I feel like it's kind of, people are kind of opening their eyes to it. Because I have this theory, like if you can't talk about it, you shouldn't be reading it. But that's just me, because we've been doing this for so long now, where I'm like, whatever, there's the same thing. I mean, people always say like Game of Thrones had worse. So, and you didn't say anything about that. And, you know, that kind of thing. So
one of my favorite things doing is when I'm going through customs, like going to a signing in the US or anything like that. And they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm going to a romance book convention. Like, oh, really? Their tone. Sometimes they look like they're this grumpy, like no nonsense person. And then as soon as I say that, they're like, oh, really? You know, their whole tone changes. And then one was like, oh, my mom reads books like that. And it was like really cool. So it was like straight up tell them, make them either uncomfortable or like make them smile. So
I mean, I was like, there's just times I don't realize how many people actually read it. Mandy and I were getting our shirts made, our matching shirts that we wear when we go to our events. We were doing it just before we went to Canada. And the girl that was doing the shirts, I was having her design a few different things. And then she's like, so what do you guys do? And I started telling her, and she's like, oh my gosh, do you have any book suggestions? So I threw a few out there. And next thing I know, she's messaging me about the books that she's reading, because that's, I mean, like, but to look at it, my friend who had introduced us was like, oh, she's really into CrossFit and she does this. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's probably not out there reading. She's out working out because she goes to competitions and stuff. And she's like, no, I'm reading and I'm reading what you're talking about. So what's your channel again? You know, that kind of thing. I always love it when you just don't think that somebody's going to be into that, and they're so into it. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
Okay. Well, our next question is, will we see you at any author signings?
Yes. I have 3 next year. So Lit Lust in the Low Country, that's in Charleston, that's in March. Then HEA Readers in Indianapolis in June. And then BB4E, that's the Bang group in Vancouver.
We're going to be there.
In July.
Be there.
Oh, exciting.
We'll get to see you again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I live on the border of Washington and Vancouver, BC. So like I can see Canada right now in my window. So we'll be there. We'll be there.
Awesome. Yeah. So those are the 3. It's all like in the first 6 months of the year.
Yeah. But yay.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to see you again.
Yeah.
And then I can get Shattered signed, and hopefully Shameless will be in my hands by then.
James will definitely be available then. I'll hopefully have the duet done by then too. So yeah.
So then I can pre-order that. Yeah, BB4E is going to be crazy from what we can tell.
Well, yes.
We're really going to have to prioritize who we're going to see. And we always do that, though. We have a list. Like, we sit down the day before and we map out a plan. So we'll make sure we'll plan you on that list for sure.
BB4E has the 2 days of signing though, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that, okay. We have quite a
Lit
few
does
events we're
as
going
well.
to.
In March, that one has 2 days as well.
Okay.
It's for anybody who's watching this.
Have you done a 2-day signing before?
No, nope. They've all
Okay.
been just the 1 day. So
Yeah, us too.
that'll be something else.
Another author was talking about how she prefers the 2-day signing events, and she's like, I think that's all I'm going to start going to. And I was thinking, if I was an author, would I like that better because it like breaks it up, or would I rather just have 1 day and be done? Like I don't know.
I
Like
guess
maybe
I'll
it's
find out.
It's kind of like these events, they're fun. We love them, but they're draining. At the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh. Which
Yeah.
Mandy and I have both done vendor shows for other reasons. I mean, for years done them, and they're exhausting whether you're the person out there with your stuff and doing your thing, or you're the person attending. Because they're just, it's a lot of like emotions before you go in, and then even more as you're in there. And it's just, it's so draining. So I don't know if 2 days, I might need a week afterwards to recover. So
yeah. Well, I mean,
Okay.
a lot of authors are introverted as well, and it's a lot of peopling and putting on like this
you got to turn the on switch on.
and talking to so many people, and you're just like, go, 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 go. It's by the end of the day, you're just like, where am I?
Yeah, it's like you have an on and off switch. Mandy and I've talked about this too, because I did a direct sell business for years, like 14 years. And so I'm more the extrovert, but even for me, I would still have to turn it on. You have to be that, you have to people. And you enjoy it, but it's exhausting. So you have to recharge the battery afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I have a few good friends going to the BB4E. Actually, every signing I go to, I always have good friends that are going, because it's like, hey, I'm going to this one, sign up for it, and vice versa. So I don't think I'll ever go to one where it's just me and I don't know anyone.
Right. Going with your friend is very important, isn't it, Mandy?
Always.
Have either of you gone to one where the other one wasn't able to attend, or it's always been the two?
It's always been the two of us.
We have one or two coming up this year. I think one for each of us, right? You're going to do that one, right, Mandy, in Portland? I have a kid graduating in June, and there's a couple somewhat local in June where I can't be there, but Mandy's considering going without me, which,
Well, we have another author friend too, and said I could come along with her. So I would still not be by myself.
No, you wouldn't be by yourself. And I have one in February I'm going to that's fantasy, but I'm going with a friend, my business partner, because that's her thing. So it wasn't, and it's right after we get back from Tucson or from Phoenix. So literally the next weekend. So it won't be the same. But yeah.
Well, that is taking us kind of to the end of our questions. I have 2 left. So this next one is is there anything else you would like to share that we haven't talked about, or?
Oh, I don't think so. I'm never good with like ones where it's like
on the spot.
Any other questions you have? I'm like, and then an hour later, I'm like, I should have asked that.
Exactly.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So what is the best way for readers to connect with you?
Instagram or Facebook are probably the two main social medias that I'm fairly active on. Even if I'm not posting, I'll still be checking messages, or if somebody messages me or anything, then I'll get back to them on those. I do have a Facebook group as well. So.
And what's that called?
Rin's Romance Readers.
Okay. I don't think I'm in that.
Well, she will be in a few minutes.
Putting that on my notes. Rin's Romance Readers.
It's still a small group. I'm just small, but
I think the small groups are fun because you get to know the other readers a little bit better in those groups, and so it's easier to make friends, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I guess that's it for this time around. So thank you so much for being here. We really enjoyed our time with you. It's been awesome.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much
so
for
much.
having me.
Yeah.
Awesome talking to you guys.
Yeah. We look forward to seeing you in Vancouver.
Yes.
And your friends.
So
We look forward to seeing them too.
Well, Pam and Jen are going to be there too. So
Yeah, I know. I can't wait. So, all right.
okay.
Mandy, anything else?
I think that's everything.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. All right. Well, thank you to all of our viewers for joining in for this, and we will see you guys in the next video.